First met you guys, it was in New Caledonia, and I think Anna was quite keen to come to Australia, but as I recall, Brent was not.
That sounds right.
And I do happen to perhaps remember that you said something like, "I will not be going to Australia."
Yeah.
And so for me to be sitting here 2 years later and this being your second season in Australia, I'm interested to know why initially you said you didn't want to come to Australia, and was it as the result of the things that had been said about Australia third party, and then what's been the actual experience, and why did you even return for a second year?
As cruisers, we all sort of talk about various destinations and places that we want to visit, that people have visited, and we heard a lot of scary stories about Australia. Not about your dangerous animals, not about the dangerous people that you are, and all that sort of thing. But we heard scare stories about the customs officials and the various clearance officials, first of all, not being very friendly, being pretty strict on boats, and to the extreme actually. And so we were hesitant about coming to Australia to experience that. We are incredibly happy that we took the decision not to listen to what was going on out there, but to actually come and see Australia for ourselves. It's very easy clearing into Australia. I think a person's attitude counts a lot. I think having your boat organised and clean and prepared counts for a lot, and just being respectful to the officers. They deal with a lot of different people from all over the world, and I think you kind of get back what you put in.
We understand that it's a real issue. It would be a real issue for me if I was to be arriving in the country and not know what it was going to cost me to arrive in the country. And what we've done about that as the Down Under Alley is recognise that it's crazy, and we've said, you know what, we're going to pay the cost of the initial practique inspection and timber inspection for every vessel that joins the rally that comes to Australia, so that you can know what it's going to cost you to come to Australia. The rally entry fee last year in 2017 was $495. That included the cost of your initial biosecurity, practique and timber inspection. It included all of the Welcome Week events. It included the parties and everything else. And the average cost of the vessels that cleared in was $448. So for $495, it's a hell of a deal. And it just takes away that unknown part of the equation.
Sail to Australia from New Caledonia is an easy sail. To get from New Caledonia to Australia is a 4-day passage for us. The weather situations getting down to New Zealand are a lot more tricky, and coming back, your boat goes through rougher oceans, let's face it. Both occasions to Australia have been very easy sails for us.
The thing about Australia as a destination, from a passage making point of view, is that it's a huge target. You've got the east coast of Australia, and you've got the whole east coast of Australia with multiple ports of entry. If you're halfway across on the passage and the weather's not doing as it was suggested it would, you can simply change course and go to another port.
Yeah, you can open or close the angles as you need to.
It's extraordinary, and we've never had to do it. We've always been able to go to Bundaberg because it is probably the most benign of the passage distances. You need only look at the latitudes that we're sailing in to know that the likelihood of you experiencing easy passage, and if you look at the angle of the winds at that time of the year, it's typically going to be a breach or a run. It's a pretty easy, and the current assist and all the things that go with it. It's an easy destination to arrive at, and Bundaberg, look, for us, that is the premium port of entry. It's not, it's not the most dynamic of cities or towns, and by the same token, it's got a lot of appeal because it's a soft entry. You're not going straight into a big city. And
they've got very green sugar cane there.
And many kangaroos.
And lots of kangaroos.
And that's the great thing. The minute you arrive in Australia, you're meeting down-to-earth, true-blooded Aussies.
Yeah.
And in a real, true Aussie environment. that is relaxed and calm, and you see the animals, and you get to just chill before you then move on into the cities and go back into the full pace of city life. I know that you were unlucky enough to have something that went bump in the night on a passage up from Sydney returning to the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
As a result of that, you spent a considerable amount of time having to go into having repairs done. How was that experience?
Let's talk about where we hauled, which was at the Boatworks, for example, and that's up in Southport for the guys who don't know, the Boatworks. And just incredible. It must be the most up-to-date, cleanest, advanced boatyard we have ever come across.
With the friendliest CEO and Tony.
Yeah, with the friendliest
He's
CEO
so
and Tony.
approachable.
Yeah.
Very nice
I
guy.
actually think Tony's just like that with the woman, but yeah. True, they're great guys. Absolutely.
Or talks about the fact that he thinks there should be another washing machine because he can see how much they are being used. That was a conversation he was having with me, you know.
And talk is cheap. You know what? He's gone and put another whole laundry in there.
Well, there you go.
I mean, the guy. Yeah, look, that place, they're committed, and they really do provide. We've had people say it's like going to a boat spa.
It is like that. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. The facilities are the best we've ever seen. And yeah, I must say that Scooter, who did all the work on the boat, was an amazing guy. We can't speak for everybody there, but all the people who we dealt with were just amazing people.
And the joy of that particular yard is that I think there's something like 48 trades on site.
No, it was very good. I mean, the deals were good. We thought the deals
I
were
think
good.
the work was beautifully done.
The
as
work
well.
was exceptionally
like
well
we
done.
had quite difficult gel coat matches to do,
Yeah.
and you know you can't see our repair at all.
So okay, we've cleared in, we've done all those things. What about cruising in Australia and the cruising grounds? Where have you been and what have you
What
seen?
we really love about it is that there are so many spots to just go and drop anchor, pick up courtesy moorings, for example. A lot of different places to anchor and shelter from different conditions, free moorings, easy access to the towns and so
And
forth.
also very different landscapes, like between Queensland and New South Wales. It is very, very different.
Yeah.
And you have, of course, the expertise of VMR that backs up. If you are like a cruiser and you don't know so much, you're only ever a phone call away because their phone numbers are published everywhere.
And just for anyone that's not familiar with VMR, it's the equivalent of a Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they are volunteers,
Correct,
right?
yeah.
Like you can just call them on your cell phone, even far out at sea, and you can just speak to somebody who really takes time to give you advice on the bars or on anchoring spots, and I've really appreciated that. I've always done my homework that way. So yeah, that's another plus point, I think.
So it's an easy place to cruise.
You know what? It is an easy place to cruise, and yet you can make it adventurous. You know, there's bar crossings. I like a little bit of a challenge now and then, especially when an Australian tells me, mate, you can't go in there because there's a bar and it's running heavily. I want to go and check it out for myself.
This
And
was
then
me telling him on the way down here because he was going in one that I wasn't going in.
I was being polite. And then it actually turned out to be a really cool spot to spend our time. It was a little place called
Foster Tuncurry.
Foster Tuncurry. It was awesome evening there.
Such
Big
friendly
pelicans,
people,
beautiful, friendly people. And that's the other thing. Wherever you are willing to poke your nose into or your bows into a little place down the coast, people are just there, they're friendly, they're welcoming you. We had a boat tell us, mate, don't drop anchor there, there's a free mooring ball over there. Do you want us to help tie you up for the night? Really, we've enjoyed that about Australia.
And so not having to do the night passages, the day sailing between anchorages,
Yeah.
Yeah.
has that
you know,
been your experience?
yeah, you're able to do little day hops down or a day and a night. You know,
That's what you want to do.
it depends what you want to do.
And okay, so I think you spent, you did the bucket list tick of the fireworks in Sydney Harbour, New Year's Eve.
Yeah, last year
Started
we did the
Sydney
fireworks.
Harbour.
I mean, the fireworks display is something incredible. You have to do it once in your life. I know refused to allow me to do it a second time because she was standing on the bow with bitch wings. These are called bitch wings. You stand on the bow and show your bitch wings, okay?
Chasing people.
And she was chasing people off because there's just that many boats, guys. People are drinking, they're having a good time. I mean, you know, the volunteer marine services are out there trying to keep control of the masses. It's a big party, man. And you know, Impi's our home.
Yeah.
So Anna was doing a lot to defend our home that night. But the fireworks are something you've just got to do from a boat. You can feel the power of it through the hulls of the boat. It's huge explosions. It's something that foreigners like us have just never experienced before.
As a cruising ground, it stacks up. It's met your expectations, Australia?
Yeah, as a cruising ground, I think it's diverse. It's exciting in terms of, you know, you can take on an adventure here if that's your thing, which I like to do from time to time. And yet you can play it safe if that's your thing. You know, you can go into calm anchorage and you can sort of be in a very safe spot for as long as you like.
Guys, I've got to tell you, I'm very chuffed to be sitting here and knowing that you were reluctant to come to Australia, and knowing now that you're back for a second season and contemplating a third, I'm just really pleased that it's lived up to your expectations, and all of the fear mongering hasn't stopped you having a wonderful experience.